Mayu Hoshino froze mid-step. The anonymous voice she'd adored for 2 years belonged to Kosuke Aoki, the boy she'd brushed off as too quiet. The one she dumped in front of everyone.
This can't be happening. I came here to confess to Kay, not face my worst mistake.
Just minutes earlier, she'd entered the rap party with a racing heart and a single goal. But the face of the man she'd fallen for was a memory she'd tried to bury.
I said he was expressionless. I said he had no passion. And he's the voice that moved me to tears.
For 2 years, they'd recorded together, separated by a soundproof booth. Now, across the room, he looked at her with the same blankness she'd once mocked.
He recognized me. The nod was polite, but his eyes held nothing. Nothing at all.
Mayu couldn't breathe. The party continued around her, but her world had just collapsed. 2 years earlier, at 16, Mayu Hoshino had landed the lead in a new romance anime. The male lead was credited only as K, a mysterious voice actor she would never meet face to face.
They record us separately, synchronizing through audio feeds. It's like performing with a ghost.
The studio enforced a strict rule. K's identity must remain anonymous until the series finale.
At first, it was just work. Then his voice started filling the silence between takes.
His timing, his sensitivity, the thoughtful pauses. Each line felt like a confession meant only for her.
I don't know his face, his name, anything, but I know his voice better than my own heartbeat.
She began to live for those recording sessions, inventing an image of him behind the glass.
What would happen if I just walked into his booth? Would his real voice be even more beautiful?
The rule was absolute. But by the final episode, Mayu had made a decision that would shatter everything. 2 years of acting opposite a disembodied voice had blurred every line for Mayu Hoshino.
Every time he said he loved her through the headphones, it felt like a confession meant only for me.
She began to dread the silence between recording sessions, counting the days until she could hear him again.
I don't even know his face, but I know the exact rhythm of his breathing before a line.
Her co-stars noticed her distraction, but how could she explain falling for a phantom?
When the rap party was announced, I knew it was my only chance. 2 years of wondering had to end.
The contract threatened penalties, but she'd rather lose her career than live with never knowing.
What if he's disappointed? Or worse, what if he's everything I never knew I wanted?
She bought a dress, rehearsed her confession, and walked into the venue with her heart in her throat.
This is it. Tonight, I meet Kay, the voice that became my whole world.
The champagne flute in Mayu's hand trembled. Somewhere in the room, a glass shattered, but she didn't turn.
The voice that taught me how to breathe was his. Kosuke, the one I threw away like a crumpled script.
Her feet refused to move. The crowd around her laughed, clinked glasses, but she heard only the echo of his nod. Kosuke Aoki stood just meters away, discussing next season's contracts with the producer, his smile too easy.
He looked right through me, as if the 2 years we spent recording were just another closed folder.
A staff member handed her a congratulations flyer. The paper grew damp in her sweating palm.
I should run, but the door feels like a confession, and I have nothing left to say.
Then, unbidden, the image of a high school gate rose in her mind, bright with cherry blossoms and cruelty.
2 years ago, on a day just like this, in spring, I told him he was too boring to love.
The party blurred. All she could see now was the boy she'd humiliated in front of her friends. The cherry blossoms at the school gate that day were no softer than her friends' laughter.
Dating Kosuke was easy, too easy. He never complained, never demanded anything from me.
Her friends called him a placeholder. They said a rising star couldn't be dragged down.
I started to believe them, that his silence was a weakness, not a gift.
One afternoon, with her friends watching, she decided to end it publicly.
You are too quiet. Kosuke, you have no passion. How can I love someone like that?
The words sliced through the spring air like a blade of ice. Kosuke said nothing. His eyes, for the first time, held something she couldn't name. Then, without a word, he turned and walked away. His shoulders didn't shake, but the silence he left behind was a scream she still hadn't escaped. Her friends circled her instantly, their laughter blotting out the retreating footsteps.
I said what needed to be said. No one wants a shadow for a boyfriend.
They called her brave, called her free. The words tasted like chalk, but in the quiet of her bedroom months later, she'd still see his eyes.
I never apologized. I was too busy becoming a star.
Yet the memory clung like damp cobwebs, never fully swept away. Now, at the wrap party, every accolade and every contract felt like a lie bought with his silence.
The voice that rebuilt my career was the one I smashed on the ground 2 years ago.
Her guilt, long buried under fame, erupted in a single suffocating wave.
What have I done? He wasn't boring. He was saving everything for a role I never gave him.
Mayu forced herself to look. The boy she remembered had been replaced by a man who held the room.
Where did this version of him hide all through high school? Behind every silence I mocked?
He exchanged a few words with the director, his smile measured but undoubtedly real.
That smile. It's a tool he forged without me. A weapon I handed him the day I left.
A producer clapped him on the back, declaring Kay a once-in-a-decade talent.
They're praising the voice I loved, and it was his! They see him, but I was the first to hear. Jealousy twists in my chest, not of his fame, but of everyone who gets to know him now.
She tried to overlay his studio voice onto the man before her, but the pieces refused to fit.
That voice was tender, desperate, alive. How could it belong to someone I called empty?
Her clutch trembled in her hands. The distance between them felt wider than the soundproof glass ever had. 2 junior voice actors nearby gushed about Kay's raw emotional depth and unmatched control.
They have no idea it's Kosuke. No idea the genius was once called a boring nobody.
Every compliment was a verdict she'd handed down herself, now overturned by a world that never heard her cruelty.
I could message him. His number is still in my phone. But what would I even say after 2 years of silence?
She imagined slipping out the side door and never facing this humiliation again.
But if I leave, I'll always wonder what would have happened if I'd just stayed silent.
Another producer called Kay's work, a masterclass in restraint and vulnerability. Mayu's knuckles whitened around her glass.
Restraint and vulnerability. I told him he had no passion. What did he prove while I wasn't watching?
Her phone buzzed with praise for her lead role. It felt like applause for a lie.
I came to confess, but all I have is regret, and my feet won't move.
The champagne flute clinked as she set it down. Her feet, finally, obeyed the command she'd been screaming.
Just a few meters. She'd crossed soundproof booths for years. This was only empty air.
She wove through the crowd, her gaze fixed on the back of his head like a lifeline.
His name formed on her lips. Kosuke. If she could just say it, the rest might unspool.
Her hand rose, trembling. Then a voice called his name from across the room, and she flinched. He turned toward the sound, a laugh already breaking. Mayu's heart stopped before it could reach her. A young actress touched his forearm. He smiled, leaning in, as though they'd known each other for years.
That connection. She'd never built it. She'd only demanded he perform while she judged.
Her heels snagged the carpet's edge. The stumble threw her back against a pillar, breathless.
The party roared on around her. She was invisible, and she'd never deserved to be seen.
The party dissolved into farewells. Kosuke Aoki pulled on his coat and slipped through the terrace door into the cold night. Through the glass, she saw him lean on the railing, the city lights stretching below him like a frozen fire.
Alone, without the crowd, he looked not like a star, but like a boy carrying too much silence. This is it. If I don't move now, I'll spend forever wondering what I was too afraid to say.
Her heels echoed in the now empty hallway as she pushed open the balcony door.
The cold air hit her face, but it was nothing compared to the ice in her stomach.
He didn't turn. The wind rustled his hair, but he stood like a statue, waiting for something.
Say something, his name, anything. But the words tangled in her throat like thorns. My heart is screaming. Don't run, not this time.
She stepped forward. The glass door clicked shut behind her, sealing the distance she'd finally crossed.
Kosuke,
He turned toward her, and his expression was as unreadable as the night sky, unblinking and cold.
I came here tonight to meet Kay, to confess that I am in love with his voice, the timing, the tenderness, the way he breathes between lines like a secret only I should know.
Without blinking, he answered.
I know. I knew it was you from the first session, Mayu. Your voice, your rhythm. I recognized everything within minutes. The girl who tore me apart.
He recognized me from the start, and he never said a word. He just listened.
The confession she'd rehearsed shattered into meaningless fragments, each syllable a reminder of her own blindness.
I waited to see if you'd hear me the same way. Beyond the anonymous credit, beyond the voice. If you'd hear the truth you buried at the school gate.
Mayu's world tilted. This wasn't coincidence. It was a calculated silence. A test she'd been unknowingly failing for 2 years, while he listened to her pour her heart into a character who never existed, judging every word.
Kosuke, wait, why did you take the role at all? You could have refused.
To prove a point. I wanted to see if the girl who called me empty could hear what I had to say, but you didn't. You loved a shadow because it was safe, nothing real.
The night air pressed in, cold and final.
It wasn't safe. It was the only thing keeping me alive. But I never looked past his voice. Please wait. I am not the same person. Just give me a chance to show you.
He stopped at the balcony door. For a heartbeat, something flickered in his eyes.
You are not the same. That person never apologized. But you are here now, asking for something I can't give.
The glass door opened with a whisper. He stepped through, leaving her in the cold.
The door clicked shut, and I realized I had been the one to close it first.
The empty hallway stretched before her like an accusation. Mayu ran, her heels striking the polished floor.
Kosuke, please. I was an idiot. I was cruel and young and too blind to see what I had.
He stopped near the elevator. His silhouette was a wall of silence against the dim lights.
So now you are sorry. When did that happen? After the applause? After the awards?
Every day since. It's been eating me alive. And tonight, I finally saw the proof of what I did.
You know what hurts most? It's not that you dumped me. It's that you never even looked back.
I know. And I am sorry. I am so sorry.
Her tears fell hot and fast. The apology she'd rehearsed for 2 years wasn't enough. It never could be.
You should go home, Mayu. This conversation was over 2 years ago.
He'd taken my worst fear and made it his weapon, and I deserved every wound.
You want the truth? I didn't stumble into voice acting. I carved this path with every insult you threw at me.
After the breakup, he locked himself in his room with scripts and a mirror, drilling vocal exercises until his throat bled. Late nights, early mornings. He studied under a retired stage actor, listening to recordings of his own voice until he recognized nothing of the boy you called empty.
A year later, I saw the casting call for Twilight Vow. The female lead was you. I auditioned not for the career, but to face you again.
In that cramped waiting room, he clutched the script, not out of nerves for the role, but because your voice was on the other side of the wall.
I became Kay because I needed to prove that the man you threw away had more depth than you ever bothered to see.
He built his entire career around my cruel words. Every performance was a message I never received.
The hallway felt colder. She saw the weight he'd carried, every line delivered as a rebuttal to her dismissal.
So, don't tell me you love me now. You fell for a ghost I created to haunt you.
It wasn't a career. It was a revenge plotted in ink and sound waves, and I was the unwitting lead.
Do you even understand what you fell in love with? A performance. A character I built. Not me.
That's not true. I started loving the voice, but I felt you in every pause, every breath.
You felt a shadow I cast. You never asked who was behind the glass.
I didn't ask because I was afraid the answer would shatter the illusion.
The accusation hung between them, sharper than any blade.
I am not the same shallow girl. Please, look at me and see that.
I've been looking, and all I see is someone who fell for a performance.
He's right, but that voice was his. The boy I threw away was never empty.
You can't separate the art from the artist. You loved the art because you hated the artist.
She had no words, only tears and the silence of a hallway that had already witnessed too much.
I am leaving the agency tomorrow. I'll cancel every contract I have. The voice you fell for won't exist after tonight. I built this career as a mirror to reflect your cruelty back at you. But mirrors shatter, and I am done holding the pieces.
He pulled his coat tight and walked out, the finality echoing louder than any studio applause he'd ever received.
If he walks out that door, I'll never hear his voice again. Not in this life. I can't let that happen.
She burst out onto the street. The wind stole her breath, or was it the sight of his tail lights disappearing at the corner?
Kosuke.
She ran, heels cracking on asphalt. The car gained speed, a red glow shrinking into darkness. Her foot caught, and she went down hard. Cold pavement scraped her palms raw.
I broke it. I broke everything. And now there's nothing left to fix.
She lay on the cold ground, sobbing, while the city spun indifferently above her. 3 days blur into a haze of drawn curtains and uneaten meals. The recording booth sits empty, her phone buzzing with calls from the agency.
I can't. Not when every line of dialogue I spoke was a lie, a performance for a man I never deserved.
She finds an old photo wedged in a forgotten notebook. 2 teenagers at a school festival, his small smile genuine.
This was the real Kosuke, not boring, quiet, not empty, patient. I was the one with no depth. All this time, I thought I loved Kei's voice. But I loved Kosuke's soul, the one he buried under my rejection.
The photo slips into her pocket. In its place, a resolve hardens, sharper than any line she ever recorded. She storms the agency the next morning, eyes still rimmed with red lines, but her voice steady for the first time.
Where is Kosuke Aoki? I need to see him before he cancels everything.
The stunned receptionist scribbles an address, an old studio on the industrial side of the city, booked under his alias.
He's not quitting yet. There's still a chance. I have to make it.
The studio was a repurposed warehouse, its neon sign flickering like a hesitant heartbeat. Mayu didn't hesitate. She pushed through the heavy door. The control room was empty, but through the glass, she saw him. Kosuke stood in the booth, headphones on, eyes closed. The red recording light burned like a wound.
His lips moved, and the voice that poured through the monitors was not the Kei I knew. It was raw, bleeding, unpolished.
The script lay open on a music stand, covered in handwritten notes. You left, and I built this voice so you'd hear me. He spoke of a girl who called him empty, of sleepless nights shaping his throat into something she might finally notice.
Every word he's ever recorded was a letter to me, and I never read a single one.
Tears blurred the glass. She pressed her palm against it, a silent plea to be let in. He couldn't see her through the soundproof pane, but his voice filled every corner of the room, utterly unguarded.
This is the boy I told to be more expressive, and he's been screaming his pain into my headphones for years.
The recording light blinked off. Silence crashed into the booth like a wave. Kosuke leaned forward, both hands on the mic stand. He pulled off the headphones, and through the glass he saw her, palm pressed flat, tears streaming down her face. He stepped out slowly, his expression a war between the cold mask and something cracking beneath it.
Mayu, how did you find this place?
I heard you, your real voice. Not Kay's, yours. I don't love a performance. I love the quiet boy I threw away because I was too blind to see. I love you, every unsaid word, every hidden feeling.
His hands, which had been trembling by his sides, went still. For the first time, the mask slipped. He stared at her as if seeing past the idol, past the voice actress, straight into the girl he'd once known.
I am not asking for forgiveness. I just needed you to know. The real you was always enough.
Kosuke opened his mouth, but no sound came. The walls he'd built for 2 years trembled in the weight of her words.
I told myself I did this to prove a point, that it was revenge. But the truth is, I never stopped thinking about you.
His voice cracked, a sound she'd never heard from Kay, not once in 2 years of recording.
Every line I read, every emotion I poured into that mic, it was all for you. Even when I hated you, I wanted you to hear me.
Mayu stepped forward, closing the space between them. Her tears hadn't stopped, but now they fell for a different reason.
I was terrified you'd reject me again. So I built this wall of anonymity, and then I blamed you for not breaking through.
Without a word, she opened her arms. He hesitated for a heartbeat, then collapsed into her embrace.
Maybe we were both stupid. Maybe we can be stupid together now.
A fragile laugh escaped her, mingling with a sob. She held him tighter, afraid he'd disappear if she let go. No grandiose promises, no sudden romantic confessions, just 2 people who'd finally stopped performing. In the dim light of the old studio, 2 broken voices found a new harmony, not as idols, but as themselves.
I am not going to cancel the contracts. Not yet. Maybe there's something left to say with this voice.
You don't have to decide that now. Neither of us does. We've waited 2 years. We can take our time.
We'll see. For now, that's all I can promise.
But for the first time, his smile wasn't a performance. It was an opening.
Then, we'll see, is enough. It's more than I deserved an hour ago.
They gathered his script, switched off the equipment. Simple actions, but together they felt like a new ritual. The neon sign outside buzzed and flickered as the door swung open. They stepped into the cold, walking side by side with a hand's width of space between them.
For once, the silence between us didn't feel like a wall. It felt like a door left open.
Neither looked back at the studio. Whatever they'd been there was already fading into the night behind them. Months passed, and the soundproof glass that once separated them became a relic of the past.
You still breathe exactly right before the emotional beat. I finally know why it always broke me.
Because I was always talking to you. The audience just got to listen.
They recorded face to face now, in a booth with no walls. Every glance a conversation. The production crew had learned to give them space, recognizing the chemistry that couldn't be directed.
We still haven't labeled what we are, but when his hand finds mine between takes, it's enough.
One more take? Or do you need a break?
She shook her head, their hands brushing over the script, a language all their own. The red light blinked on. They leaned into the mic, voices blending like they'd never been apart. As the final page turned, the studio faded, leaving only the sound of 2 people who had finally found their true duet.